Hey guys, today we're going to be continuing to work on the floor system. We've been having a lot of cold weather lately, pretty cold. It was 15 2 days ago and 20 this morning. And we've got the frozen ground, which I'll take any day over mud. We've had a lot of mud lately too. But anyway, one of the bad things about living in a remote community is materials aren't readily available. So a lot of the technological stuff you can get, the newer type things in construction, they're not available here. They're available in the bigger cities. So even if we drive an hour and go to Home Depot in the little town close to us, they don't have very much of that either. So one of the things that we're waiting for, or a couple of the things we're waiting for, is we're gonna get a damp-proof barrier to go around the outside, and it's a dimple membrane, and it's something they're starting to use a lot more, and it keeps the hydraulic pressure off the outside of your foundation wall, keeps it from getting wet. So that's been ordered. We're waiting for that to get here, and then the Crawlspace vapor barrier. And I think I've mentioned before that we're doing a sealed crawlspace, so no vents. And so it'll be conditioned, and we're going to insulate the foundation walls instead of the floor. And so they've done a lot of studies on that recently. Have found that's the best way to prevent moisture from getting into your house, and for the air quality in your house to actually be better, and then also for energy efficiency, believe it or not. So it's a continuous vapor barrier that all the seams are taped, and it goes up the foundation wall, and then we use closed cell spray foam. And here in Idaho, the requirement is R19 minimum for the walls of the foundation. So let's go in and take a look at the floor, what we've done so far on the pony walls. And we're supposed to be getting, starting tonight, we're supposed to be getting 3 to 5 inches of snow, which usually translates to, if you double it, each number 6 to 10 inches. So we'll see how that goes. But we're trying to get some flooring down, because we tend to get snow blowing in, and we don't want to get snow in the crawl space at this point. So we're going to try to get the floor down, and then we'll be really close to setting the barn back down. So let's go take a look inside. I won't miss this. Okay, we made it. So this is the part of the wall that we've gotten done. This is the part where we had the form bulge. So the bottom is okay, but you can see here the top, this is where we did the saw cut and gave ourselves a little bit of room to sit our floor on top of this. So we have kind of 2 sill plates here. This one will be like a traditional sill plate, and our joists will sit on top of here. And then this one will be where the deck goes. And so this is your drop floor system that I've talked about before. So normally you would have your joist sit up on this sill plate, and then your subfloor would be on top of that. We're going to set our floor joist down inside the foundation wall, and then our subfloor goes right across the sill plate right onto the floor joist. So this is what we ended up doing. Normally you can see we have this pony wall, and this would go along the footing, but since we have this bulge here, we had to come up with a different plan. And so we've notched that out with the concrete saw, and we have our new sill plate here, our secondary sill plate. And then, out here the concrete is almost as deep as the 2x4, and really you should have 1.5 inches of bite on the end of your floor joist. So you don't want to hang your floor joist, just barely sitting on here. Or the same idea, under here, we don't want to have just it hanging over nothing support-wise. So we've we've overlapped our traditional pony wall with this plate, and this is as close as we could get right here to supporting. So, you know, this distance right here, we'll have a joist sitting there. And that's only about a 3/4 inch difference in concrete and sill plate, and that's the same at the other end. So, and then on these 2x4s that we've got on the flat here, you know, we wanted to keep a gap between the wood and the concrete so that the wood's not absorbing any moisture from the concrete. So that's what we did to address this. We still will have a little bit of challenge, maybe some overlap or offsetting rim joist that goes along the outside here, to try to get back, because I don't know if you can see this here, but we've got about, I don't know, that's about a 1 inch difference between where our sill plate sits and where our pony wall is going to be for the other part. But the plates here are all nailed down with the powder actuated system. So these are coated nails for use in pressure treated lumber, and they're driven in with a powder actuated gun that shoots the nails into the concrete. And it's a lot harder now than it was you know, when it was green, when we were driving nails in by hand. So here's the far end of the pony wall, where we're starting out, where the concrete started bulging. So you can see this is the beginning of our saw cut that we made, and then it goes all the way down about to where that plate ends. And it's not a perfectly straight cut, but for what we're doing here, it should be great. So we've got this somewhat conventional pony wall on the end here, and then it disappears. And I think you can see from here how that concrete bulges out and catches pretty much that entire plate up there. So we'll have good support for our floor joists. And then as we go down here further, we'll have, this is our standard pony wall. And so the intent behind all this when we first did it was to leave a 2-inch gap behind it. The inspector at the time told me that R10 was the requirement for insulation on the Crawlspace. Well, that's changed. I'm not sure when, but this new standard is R19. And so I left room for 2 inches of rigid foam, which is R10. And come to find out, we got to do 3 inches of closed cell, which will give us over R21. So it'll be better anyway. So anyway, that's why there's this gap, and that's, you know, we don't want the lumber touching the concrete. So that's what we were going for. Obviously down there we had the bulge in the concrete, so we had to improvise. But we'll still get our insulation value down there by spraying the concrete anyway. So that's one of the reasons we did that. And now we use this fast foot fabric on the footings, and it's nice because that folds up and it goes underneath our pony wall as a vapor barrier. So we still will want to run our vapor barrier. I think by code we have to run it up 6 inches up the wall. I'm not sure if the closed cell foam is applicable in that, if that can be considered a vapor barrier or not, because it will fill in that void also. But like right here, we don't have that. We don't have a plate, so you know this fabric won't go up 6 inches up the wall. So this one's done. The only thing we need to make sure we do is brace this end because it still moves. Just to make sure we're perfectly plumb when we set our floor joists. And when we set our first floor joist, we'll nail it down to the pony wall, and then we'll just place a holder across the top and nail it to the sill plate so that we maintain our relationship to the wall. Because what can happen is while you're measuring and shifting floor joists and stuff, you can end up pushing pony walls around, and they end up going out of plumb, and then you end up with too long of a floor joist system or too short, and you don't realize it till you're done basically, and you're throwing down plywood. So we're gonna have a pony wall across these middle footings here, and then on that far end we've got the sill plate nailed down for the pony wall on that footing over there. So we finished that yesterday. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, one of the other challenges that we have here is squareness. So one thing that I didn't do when we were laying out this foundation that you would normally do is I didn't take the time to make sure it was square. What I did was I dropped a plumb bob from the actual building that's above us, and we measured the walls before we lifted it, and we measured the walls at the top after we lifted it to make sure we had the right dimensions on the perimeter. But we don't want to try to square the building up at this point. It's going to be quite a challenge to try to do that. We've got a second floor already built. We've got siding on. So we're just going to live with it, however out of square it is. And it's not too bad, actually. And so yesterday, we're going to start laying all the floor joists out from this corner right here. Because we checked yesterday, and this corner is square. So this front corner is going to be what we lay out our floor joists off of. It'll be what we lay our interior walls out off of. So this front corner will basically be our datum point, for lack of a better word. So that's the floor system. Again, the drop floor, instead of sitting up here with the floor joists, which you can see right here, we would be very close. I don't even know if we'd clear, because we have to have room for a plate under this also. But we're going to do a drop floor, so our joists will be down in here. And then on the outside, what that means is when our grade comes up 6 inches from the top of the concrete, and we pour like a patio or a slab or something outside, we have a small step to get into the house rather than having to build more steps to get all the way back up in. So that was why I like the drop floor system. If you're wanting to raise your building and it has a drop floor system, you're going to have the same problem we had with the balloon framing, because you can't pick it up from the floor. You got to pick it up from the walls. But we're not planning on doing that. This puppy should stay here for quite a while. That's what we'll be working on today, and we'll bring you back for some more a bit later. So we worked last night till dark, and we didn't get done. So we didn't beat the snow, as you can see. And it's just mid-afternoon here, early afternoon, I should say. And we have probably 4 inches of snow. So there might be more to come. It's supposed to snow all day today, but we're gonna go ahead and keep working. We didn't get much snow in the barn, so that's good. That's the main thing we were trying to avoid. So I'll show you what we got done yesterday. So we got just a little skiff of snow in here, but we got our pony walls all completed. And pretty happy with everything. The footings were all fairly level. I think across the whole barn we had only like a 1/4 inch of discrepancy around the whole thing. So I think that's pretty good. I haven't worked on many jobs that are that close. So footings aren't usually that dialed in, but the kids did a good job leveling these out when we poured them. So one thing I did in the pony walls was I put this header in. That'll support one joist. And it just makes it easier when you have to crawl between the pony walls. Since these ones are 16 inches on center, I opted to go that route just to give more space. And so I've got one in this pony wall as well. If these were 24 inches on center, I might not have done that, because 24 is not too bad. And we don't have anything big we're going to be routing down here. There won't be any. I'm not planning on doing any ductwork under in the crawl space. There will be plumbing, and then our electrical service comes in right here. So, but the electrical panel is going to be upstairs. So we just have to put this in a box and then run some cable up to the box. So anyway, we're going to continue on. Today we'll be starting with the floor joists, and like I said before, we're going to start in this corner back here, and we'll get the walls all leveled and plumb with each other and with the outside walls before we start nailing stuff in. and then we'll brace it, and then once we get the floor on, we should be good to go. So that's what we got going on today. We'll bring you back for another update. Hey guys, here we are. We finished with the floor joists, as you can see. And so now we're gonna start laying down some deck, and hopefully we'll have the barn set down this weekend sometime. We've only got a few more days till Christmas, and it would be a great Christmas present if we were to be able to get this done and set down. Here's our drop floor system. So you can see our joists line up with our sill plate. And we've got blocking for rigidity, and all of our pony walls looked really good. And we're gonna glue and nail down the subfloor, tongue and groove, and we're getting close. We are really getting close, guys. One thing I really like is this crawl space, and it ended up a little bit deeper than I was planning initially, so it cost a little bit extra in concrete. But check this out. Look how tall that is. If you've ever spent any time in a crawl space, you would dread, you guys know what I'm talking about. You've been there, you dread this kind of stuff. But we got so much space in here, and we're gonna insulate this by doing a spray foam on the walls, and then we'll have our vapor barrier down here. Unfortunately, that stuff was on back order, and so we're moving ahead. But we're almost done. We're ready to start getting this place enclosed. And I'm glad I ducked down here because there's a few things down here that I want to get out before we put the deck on. So that's what we're going to be working on today, getting that deck done. Look what's going on here. We've got almost the whole deck completed. All we have is this one little strip over at the edge over here to finish. So we've got 1, 2, 2.5 boards left to do. And we're done with the deck. It went great. Everything lined up good. Everything's straight. It's nice. It's real nice. So after we do that, the thing that we have left to do is around the perimeter, basically on top of where the sill plate is, we're gonna nail the bottom plate down for our walls to sit on. And then, yeah, it'll be today. Today's December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. We're gonna get this barn set back down, and then we will not think about it for a little while. The kids have been working super hard, helping me out with this, and they've been super helpful. And it's been a rough battle with the weather and all the obstacles that we've had. But the kids have stuck in there good, and they're just as excited to get this down as I am. All right, guys, so we've already started taking the cribbing down. We haven't lowered the barn yet, but we got the plate all put down for the bottom of the wall, and we're just getting set up to start bringing the barn down again. So we'll be getting things ready, and hope it comes down all right in the right spot. So we're getting set up for staging. We can't drop the whole building all in one fell swoop. We have to bring it down. So Jones's corner here is ready to go. We have to bring it down. It'll sit on the block that we've got there. And then we've got to move the jack down. And then we've got to lift it back off, take the blocks out, and then lower it again. So we can only go down at the most like 7 inches at a time, but I don't think we'll make it. It'll be more like probably 3 or 4 inches at a time we'll be able to go down. So it'll be a process, but we'll get there. Okay guys, so we're all the way down. We've got all the weight off the cribbing, and now you'll see here that we're still up a fair distance. This is the only corner that's not touching. But if you remember, when we first lifted the barn, we attached all of this truss work to the barn when it was sagging. So from this corner down to that corner, we had 4.5 inches of sag, or 4 inches of sag. And so we basically, with these structural screws, we basically tied that all together. And so my theory is that as soon as we take these beams loose, then these will start dropping down onto the sill plate here. And now we're hanging over here. On the other side, we're in a little bit, so we're gonna have to move the barn around a little bit to get it in the right spot before we nail everything down. So never done that before, but we've got to come along, and a lot of able bodies, so we're gonna see what we can get done. But that's it. So we're down. We just got to secure it, and we're done with this lifting part, which is a load off. No pun intended. Thanks for watching.